Okay, bye. Oh, sorry. Hi, welcome to another episode of Tell Me a Story, Storytime with Lack, and of course, I had to invite the co-host of my first podcast, my best friend, my soulmate, Kalifa. Of course, I had to invite her on the yellow sofa, and I'm really excited to share this one because Khalifa's talking to me about her experiences as a black girl, as a black woman, her experiences dating black men, and what that's been like. And I don't want to give too much away, but this is a conversation me and Khalifa have never really had together. Um, so it was just special for me on that level. But you know what? Let's just get to it. Let's go. Why am I nervous, Khalifa?
I'm nervous.
Khalifa, welcome to Tell Me a Story, my podcast. This is so weird, guys. So obviously, if you know, you know. Me and Khalifa, we have a podcast called Tuned In with Kal and Lak, our baby.
Mhm.
But today, this is new for me, so just bear with us. But Khalifa, how are you doing?
Honestly, I'm really nervous about being here. I think because it's weird that we're talking on your podcast, but also this subject matter is quite sensitive. It's quite personal and triggering. So
Oh,
I'm nervous to talk about it because I've only ever spoken about this probably with my mom and my boyfriend. Like, not even my
oh wow.
friends have I shared this with.
Not even, oh my gosh, am I getting an exclusive on the yellow sofa?
Basically, yeah, like I feel like we obviously we're best friends, we're besties, bestie mates. So we talk about a lot of stuff, but I don't think we've really gone into detail. Like I might have given you like a glimpse of my experience, but I don't think we really had like a full on chat. So this is completely new for you and for me
Oh
to talk
Lord.
about like this. Like it's very weird.
Okay. The first thing I need to know before we get into it, Khalifa, I need to know what's the drink of choice today? What are we doing? What are we
I've got a
drinking?
pint of vodka. No, I'm joking. It's just water. It's just some water. It's just yeah, spring water,
Okay,
sack of
fair.
water.
I just got some tea, which is nearly finished, but
Uh,
okay, so we know what we're drinking, we know what we're doing. I'm a bit nervous, but Khalifa, what is it that you're going to be talking to me about on the yellow sofa today?
So, ooh, I'll be talking about my experience dating black men as a black woman.
Wow.
Yeah, and just some of the experiences I've had living in different parts of the UK and what I share with a lot of other black women as well. I think like I don't want to speak for everybody, but I've definitely spoken to a lot of black women and we have similar experiences. And so we'll be chopping it up about that a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess my first question would be like, how old were you when you first started, or maybe not been dating, but like these experiences, what's your earliest memory?
I'd say my earliest memory of not dating black men, but just the attitude or yeah, I guess the attitude that black men or black boys can have towards black women would be as early as 4. So
What?
as early as starting school, I remember that I'd never experienced any negative commentary about my skin color. I'd never experienced negative commentary about my hair, about being a black girl. Like it was not a negative experience in any way until I started school and I was around other black boys and they are the only people who would make comments about how dark I was, how kinky my hair was, and all of these things. And yeah, that literally started in reception.
I'm like shocked to hear that at 4. I know like kids are like mean and like can tease, but like I wouldn't even. I don't think I was doing that at like 4 years old. I was like playing like chase and like tag and like what?
Yeah, honestly, I remember there was a mixed race girl in my class who was actually like a really good friend of mine, and I remember going home telling my mom that mom, it sounds awful. There's a nearly black girl because I didn't know the word mixed race. I know it sounds so bad, and it wasn't coming. I was 4 years old. It was not coming from a racist
Yeah,
place.
don't cancel. Please don't cancel
Please
Kalifa.
don't
She
cancel
was
me. And
four.
I'd never used the term mixed race, didn't know about
Yeah.
the word mixed race. So there's a lady black girl at school, and I want to look like her. And my mum was like, first of all, nearly black. And I was like, yeah, the lady black girl, insert name here. She's got curly hair. Her skin's really light. She's really beautiful, and I want to look like her. And that was the first time my mom had the conversation with me about, you are beautiful the way you are, and started to instill confidence in me. Not that she hadn't done it before, but there was no need to be like, you're beautiful and black, not in spite of being black, not like it's a shame that you're black and you're pretty. Like you're a
Yeah.
black girl and that is beautiful and you don't need to be anything else. And so yeah, but I remember specifically that happened in reception.
What? That's really insane. So, so you're saying that it was only like black boys, no like white boys or like, any like it was just black boys that would make. What were they saying? Do you remember? Like,
Yeah, just like things like, Blackie, your Bluck, your and like lots of like references towards being African, even though I'm not. Well, obviously, like everybody is, but like that's not my
yeah.
immediate heritage. And just like, yeah, picky head, just yeah, all of the slurs, I guess, that we've heard. And it would be quite unprovoked. I'd say as a child I was really shy. I was very, very shy. I was very quiet. I was quite bookish and kept to myself. Obviously I'm fabulous now, but as a kid I was
Yep.
so shy. And so it's not like this was out of like retaliation or I was given as good as I got or anything like that. I really just wasn't that kid. It would just be, yeah, just kind of mean words. And the thing is, like, I grew up in inner city Birmingham, so my school was quite ethnic, if you like. It was like mostly black and brown kids, and there were like white people in my class, but not a lot. Most of
Okay.
us, it's not like, there's like a couple of black kids in the class, and like most of us were black and Asian, and with like a few mixed race and white people dotted around. And so yeah, it was really strange to be singled out that way. I'd say out of all of the girls as well, I was definitely the darkest.
Okay. So like you're a bit older now.
Mhm.
Let's move on to. Does this carry on during primary school, or does it carry on during secondary school? Is it different? Are you still feeling the same way that you like felt back in reception?
Yeah, I'd say it carries on, but it kind of becomes something that I get used to, where it's just like, okay, if anybody's going to say anything mean about me, it's going to be about my skin or my hair. Just the things that make me a black girl, those are the comments that people are going to make. And I'd say, yeah, like when I started senior school, I wasn't being bullied. I don't want to like kind of go down that path, but yeah, no, I remember actually being out with my friends because ironically, for some reason, my friends were lighter than me. So we went to the same school. That was the first senior school I went with. And I had, three friends that were girls that were lighter than me. And I remember like being out in town with them. So after school, we'd go around town, we'd shoplift, keep the kites or whatever the fuck. And I just remember like, yeah, if we were
Yeah.
getting like chatted up or any of that, it would just be like, oh no, I don't want the dark one, not the dark one. So like say like somebody be like, you in the green jumper because we both wore green jumpers, and we turn around like, no, not the black one, not the black one, or things like that. And so it wasn't like directly like you are a black this. It's just little comments like that would happen quite often.
I almost, obviously not a black woman, but I can remember that time in school, and I just, yeah, I can remember that was a thing. I can't imagine how that felt, like for you, for all other black girls, because for some reason, like, I felt like everyone was just so obsessed with like light skinned girls, light skinned this, light skinned that. Like everyone was so obsessed, light skinned
Yeah,
boys. Da, 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 da. I can't imagine how you felt, especially in school. Everyone, your puberty, everyone wants to get a boyfriend, everyone wants to get a girlfriend, everyone's having sex in school because we went to the most ghetto school.
yeah, literally.
I can't imagine how that felt. So let's skip forward a bit to your first experience dating
Hmm.
a black boy. How was that?
It was actually really great, and it's I'm really fortunate that I met a black boy who liked me for who I was. Actually, no, no, no. Let me go back because definitely liked me for who I was, but it was a type of black boy that like dated white girls and mixed race girls exclusively. And so at the time I thought like, oh, he's like giving me a chance sort of thing. And it's like it's a really weird thing because this idea of light skinned girls and white girls are prettier, better, and black girls just aren't. It's been cemented into me. Like from I was 4 years old, I've been having this experience where the men in my community, in my race, have constantly affirmed that I am less desirable, less attractive, and whatever because of my dark skin, because of my hair, and whatever. And so it almost felt like when a black boy would, it sounds really horrible, but give me a chance or like, shine some light on me or whatever. It was like, what, like, oh, like, gosh, I've been given the privilege of like, being
Yeah.
able to, you know, catch your eye kind of thing. And so when I look back on that, I don't have any sort of ill will or anything because he definitely wasn't like, oh, I'll date you, even though you're black, I'll give you a go. He definitely didn't do any of that. It wasn't like, he was constantly affirming my beautiful black skin or whatever. It was just
Yeah.
like, you were a guy who traditionally dated white girls and mixed race girls in school, and then you gave me a chance. And I remember that making me feel like, gosh, I've like made it. I must be pretty enough. I must be, acceptable because this guy wants to date me. And so, yeah, it's kind of sad looking back on it, but at the time, I just felt elated, to be honest. Yeah.
I want to obviously we'll cover from then to now, but
Mhm.
I just want to like ask because you are like one of the most confident people that I know. Love you. I just want to know like how do you manage or how because I'm sure these experiences have been so like disheartening, so like soul crushing, knocking your confidence. But how have you managed to like still be confident
I have to shout out
when
my mum. I really do.
especially regarding like your skin or your hair or whatever, like how you manage to like be so confident as a black woman.
Yeah, I'd say my mum. Like, she is a dark skinned woman, a beautiful dark skinned woman. In fact, she for a long time, I don't her tag, if you like, was dark skin queen. So
Period.
she used to sign off her text messages or whatever with DSQ. She was loud and proud about being a beautiful black woman. And
Yeah.
so, regardless of like all of the, I mean, she was having these experiences too. So she could completely relate to what I was going through. The things that were being said about me were being said about her. And she was just not going to have it. She was just like, you are going to be confident. And so, every chance she gets, she would just affirm me, reassure me, build me up. And obviously, it's difficult because you kind of feel like, well, you're my mom, you're supposed to say that. Or you're my mom, like, of course you think I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
But she would just like show me music videos with like black women or models, or just every chance that she got, her and my nan would just big me up all the way. And so that massively helps. It's just like I would walk out of the house with confidence, and that even when I was hearing these words, these phrases, these comments, it would kind of be like water off duck's back, because I know who I am and I know what I look like, and I just know myself. And that's because it was instilled in me, like, you're not going to think any less of yourself than what you are, period. Like, we're not playing that. So thank God for that.
Oh, this is actually making me feel like a bit like emotional. I love that like you had that like just taught to you and like I am so happy that you had that. I want to know if there were any experiences that you felt maybe like I don't even know, just like a shit experience.
Yeah, there are many, but there are two that stand out. And I'd say the first one, I was 16. So
Okay.
I lived in Small Heath, and we would all kind of, people from like Small Heath, Chambly or whatever, we'd go to ice skating on a Wednesday. Because it would be like half price for students or whatever the hell. So we would all do that after school. And it was something that was really
Is that
fun.
why? Is
So
that why you always want to go ice skating? I swear to God, like any Christmas, Khalifa's like, let's go ice skating.
yeah, because I used to go every single week. I was really good, like me and all my friends went. And so one of these times when I went to ice skating, there was this boy that I really fancied. He used to go quite often, and like me, like I never had the courage to speak to him, but my friend knew him because they lived close together. And so I kind of told her that my friend, by the way, is well, she's mixed race actually. She's half white, half Asian. And so again, another light skinned friend. But so I kind of told her like, oh, like I really fancy. Let's call him John. I really fancy John, but like he'd never like me or whatever. Again, because all of that is kind of built up in like he's a black boy, he's just not gonna be interested. And she's like, what? Like, oh my god, don't be silly. So I think she wasn't trying to be mean. Like she kind of went up to him. She's like, Cal kind of likes you. And there was probably about 15 people around us. We had come off the ice rink and we were just sitting like chilling in the waiting area, whatever. And so my friend's gone over to him and said that to him, and he proclaimed around like 15, 16 of like my peers, my friends, my school friends, people in my area, just like, ew, I don't date black pussy. Yeah, like, and it was just, and like looked right at me, and she's like, oh, my friend really likes you, and he looked like, ew, I don't date black pussy like that. And I just remember just feeling like I just wanted the ground to swallow me whole. Like I just felt so horrible. And all of the other girls there I'd noticed were white or mixed race. So I was the only black girl, the only dark skinned black girl, and like one of the black, because all of the boys were black or mixed race. And so like the black boy is singling me out, probably the person who looks most like him in this group, to publicly announce that he does not date people like me, and just the words that he used, it was just so crass and so horrible. And I remember my friend did stand up and she's like, why would you say that? Like you're an arsehole. And like him and all of his other friends were like giggling and whatever, and they walked away. But I just remember feeling like, I'm not gonna cry, don't cry, don't cry, do not cry, do not cry. Like I was just so embarrassed. It was so embarrassing. And so yeah, that really stands out to me because it was just like, oh my god, like, oh
That's awful.
yeah.
That's so silly. And like we know that everyone like has a preference.
Mm-hmm.
You might like white guys, you might like this, you might like that. But I always just find it so baffling to like denounce or to just be so mean about like someone that like your mom's a black woman, your nan's a black. You came from a black woman. It just makes no sense. You can
Mm-hmm.
have your preference. You can like what you like. You can date who you date. But even at 16, I just find that so ridiculous.
Yeah. To be honest, like it might be controversial, but my thing about preferences is that, as you said, anybody can have their preference, and that's completely fine. But what I find with a lot, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of black men, is that their preferences are steeped in what they deem socially a social climb. So for them, it is,
Ooh.
more socially acceptable or more socially coveted, or yeah, for me to be with a light skin or whiter woman. It's not about because I necessarily find this more attractive or whatever. It tends to be that would look good for me. That's a good look for me, which is a real like complete lie and a complete shame. But it's also the extra part of it is that like your preference is not just, I like white girls. It's I
Yeah,
hate black women. And
yeah,
that isn't a preference. That's like self-hatred, especially when you're talking about people of your own race. Because yeah, like I don't like certain things or whatever, and there are things that I do like in people or people that I want to date, fine. But to go out of your way to like outwardly proclaim and affirm that you don't like the women in your own race, that is, I don't care what you say about preferences and date whoever you want, whatever, that is steeped in self-hatred. That is just pure and utter, unadulterated, like self hatred.
no,
And
I
there's nothing you can tell me that.
1000% agree with that. I maybe people listening, I don't know, maybe people think, okay, that person, you were 16, you're not adult yet, you're still young. Like, do you have any examples or moments where like you're an adult, the man's a grown ass, do you have any experiences like that?
God, yes. So when I was 20, I moved to Manchester and I like finished my uni degree there, and I was so excited to be there. It's such a
Yeah.
cool city. I love everything about it. But what I noticed was that the further north you go in England, the even more severe this black man's hatred towards black women became. Like it was like the contrast from being in Birmingham, where it was still prevalent, to being in
Mm-hmm.
Manchester, where it's like, oh, like it was like 10 times like more severe. And obviously,
Oh my
black
God.
Manchester has like a black community. It's not as big as Birmingham, but there are several black people of like all different, backgrounds or whatever. And so I just didn't expect it to be more of a problem. I just kind of, I mean, it wasn't what I was going there for anyway. I went to get a degree, but
Mm-hmm.
so many times I would be told just like, oh, you'd be so much pretty if you were lighter, or um yeah, like I remember like this guy messaged me. He found me on Instagram and he was like, yeah, I don't usually date black girls, but like you're actually all right, like actually all right. Or
What when people say things to you like this, like what do you laugh it off
what
or
do
are
you
you
expect me to say?
offended?
Like, oh, am I actually all right for a black girl? Like, thanks. Like, gosh, I didn't realize. Yeah, no, that would happen a lot. I remember being out with my friends because like all of my friends in Manchester were white, just because it's a very white
Yeah.
city, and literally like black men elbowing me out of the way to get to my white friends, or being like, call your friend, or just being like, yeah, like you do want to come back to ours, but not the black girl. And like I remember one time my white friend like did defend me, but a lot of the times they would be completely oblivious to what was happening. And so yeah, so like going out in Manchester was a very difficult experience because it was just like that constantly, just like literally being like barged out of the way, like just utter disrespect. I remember there was this one incident in Manchester in terms of like an actual story where I was in a club and there was a group of guys from London, and this guy
Mm-hmm.
came up to me and he was like, "You are stunning. You need to get out of Manchester." He's like,
Oh wow.
I went to uni here, and very aware of like the whole black men hating black women thing. Like it happens in London, it happens all over the UK. But from going to uni and living in Manchester for 4 years as a Londoner, it really opened my eyes to how backwards like the men are up here, like
Mm-hmm.
even more so than they are in London. And he's like, I just can see, like I'm observing, and I just know this whole situation. Like I don't even have to ask you about your experience. I know exactly what your experiences has been, and you need to get out of Manchester. And I remember just being so shocked and kind of feeling like I don't know how to take that. Like what do I even say? Like, do I smile? Do I nod and agree? Do I tell him to go away and mind his business? Like I was just shocked. Like somebody's coming up to me and basically like affirming my experience. Not even just someone, a black man has acknowledged like basically my whole experience here in 30 seconds, and I've just was stood there in the club like a wally, like just like I'm speechless. And I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. And he's just like, yeah, you just get out of here. Just like don't try and change it. Don't try and like hold out for like the right black man to come and whatever. He's like, that's if you date black guys. And I was like, no, of course I do. He's like, well, yeah, in that case, just leave. And it was like, wow. And I remember like I haven't really spoken about this to many people. Obviously, I left Manchester for many reasons, not just to find a black man, but that was a big part of it for me. Like I just kind of knew like for myself the chances of me being able to start the family I want to start, settle down, because my type is black men. Like I love black men, regardless of how they made me feel my whole life or whatever. I love black men. I want to date black men. I want to have a black family. That's what I want. And so my chances of having that living in Manchester were just very slim for me. I just didn't see it happening. And I was like, if I'm going to be able to secure my future and just date, just have a normal date and not be thinking about, oh, is this guy giving me a chance, or does this guy see me lesser than the other options out there, but he's just kind of throwing me above. Like I just don't want that. I just wanted a guy to just date me who liked me and thought I was beautiful just because I of who I am. And it was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So that was like one of the first things that made me consider like I need to move from Manchester. And then I found like really good job opportunities in London and whatever else, and it kind of made sense. But that was like the first moment where it was like, okay, I need to consider moving. And I didn't even tell like my best friend in Manchester, I didn't even tell her that.
I've got two questions. One of them is I want to know what's different. What were the main differences that you noticed from the black men or dating in London as opposed to Manchester? And my second question, I can't remember, so you answer that, and then I'll remember it because I've forgotten what the second question was.
They were a lot more open about their dislike for black women. Like a lot more. Like it would just be unprovoked. Like I'd just be walking
Is
down
this
the
in
road.
Manchester?
this is in Manchester, yeah. I'd be walking down the road, like I'm talking like I'm like 22 years old. Like these are grown men who would just be like, "Yo, Blackie," just completely randomly. Like I'm a singular, solitary black girl just walking home from work or whatever, and a group of black boys would walk past. Not even black boys, black men would walk past me in the street and just yell that, like totally out of the blue. Or I remember being at uni and I remember like just being with like a group of black boys. There was like a Afro Caribbean society, and I went to one of the parties, and yeah, these black boys were just sitting there just talking about yeah, and like when her pum pum's darker than her like yeah, you're not supposed to be dating her when her pum pum's darker than her legs, or when her when her hair doesn't reach past here, or when her lips are black, when her gums are black. Like just and they're saying things like this like jokingly, but it's just like you're in a room full of black women and you guys are just slewing, just like yeah. And they're like, oh, that was a funny one. Like it was just like wow, like I've obviously I've heard like these comments or whatever, but never as brazen and as bold as when I was in Manchester. It was like, okay, the open dislike for black women amongst black men here is crazy, like just mad. I would hear all the time, oh, like you're such a cool vibe, like you're such a cool vibe or whatever. I don't date black girls, but like you're a cool vibe. Yeah, just like I didn't ask. I actually didn't ask. Like the funny thing is, like I didn't actually ask. So thanks, but fuck off. Yeah, it was just crazy. Like just that it was very very brazen.
I want to know. I've thought of the second question. I mean, I can't believe that I didn't know that this was your experience. So like I can't believe this, but I want to know what were your experiences with other races. Like, did they make you feel? Were they saying these comments? I mean, I definitely hope not. Even more, but like, were they saying these kind of like nasty, negative things about your skin, about your hair? Like,
Not at all. Not at all. And this is why, like, when I look at like my friends that I made in Manchester, like a lot of them were men and women and from all different races, and they were always just normal. Like it was never about me being black. It was only ever about me being black when I was amongst black men. When I was amongst my white male friends, it was just, oh, Cal, like she's cool and she likes, Game of Thrones or whatever. Like we just like there were just the things about me that are, me as a person were what my white and Asian, whatever else race friends were interested in. It was never about I'm friends
mm,
with you because you're black or I'm not friends with you because you're black. It was just I never heard any comments about my skin or anything. If I was going out, like, oh, you look amazing, or not, you look amazing, but you're black, not you look amazing and you're black, not you look amazing, because like it was just there was never any comment or any issue with me being black amongst people amongst everybody but black men. I like, and it sounds crazy to single them out and it feels horrible to sit here like almost bashing them, but this is my real life experience. Like this is what happened. So yeah, it was just it just yeah, just niggas like just they just weren't fucking with the black girls. Yeah.
oh my gosh, this might be a bit of a loaded question, but moving forward, like you're in a beautiful relationship with a black man, love that for you. If you were to have a daughter, how do you protect her? Do you think about like how you protect her
Mm.
from just like the self hatred that black men might project onto her? Like, have you thought about that? Does that worry you? Does that are you like? What do you think about having a daughter or even having a son? Like, just raising your kids to not hate black women. Like,
Yeah, honestly, I think about this a lot, and I think the way you put it is so right. Like, it's definitely self hatred being projected, and I think the first lesson that my black son or daughter need to learn is just like whatever people are saying about your black skin, especially when it's coming from black people, this is self hatred projected. It is not a reflection of your skin or your blackness. It is not true. It is not founded in any real thing. It is purely self hatred, and so you cannot let somebody else's self hatred and depression or whatever they're going through like affect you. And it's going to, but you've just got to really like just believe in yourself. I think about it a lot. I have two little sisters who are 10 years old, and just
yeah,
them growing up in this world, two dark skinned black girls, I think about it all the time. I am constantly like, they get bored of it, just like, do you know how beautiful you are? Like, look at that beautiful black skin, oh my goodness, like wait, stand in the sun. Oh, stand in the sun right now because the sun was made for you. Like, I'm just constantly bigging them up, like just as much as I possibly can, and I'm 100% going to do that with my own children. I think what my mom did with my brother as well, because obviously, like our experiences in life are ultimately going to be very different. I'd say black men in society are coveted. They are desirable. I think, it's kind of like white women, kind of like, oh, I'd like love to try that. It's never there's never any kind of negative connotations around black men when it comes to like their appearance. Of course, when in terms of other things like or they're aggressive or they're this or they're that, whatever. But in terms of appearance, like they are seen in society as attractive. They are something that people want. Whereas it's the complete opposite for black women, unfortunately. So my mom very much was like, that black women are like the shit. Like with my brother, it was just like, you're gonna be with a black girl, that, right? He was just like, no, I'm telling you, like I want black grandchildren. I want my children to be a reflection of I want my grandchildren to be a reflection of my children, a reflection of me. You should want that too.
You know what? Like, you did tell me this before, and I love that your mom said that.
Yeah.
I know people might be like, oh, she should. No, I love that your mom was like, listen.
My mom would call it the purest form of self-love. Like the purest form of self-love is to create yourself in human form. And I just completely agree with that. Just like to create another version of yourself that looks like you. It's like it really is just like you have to love yourself to do that. And to be proud of it. And so that's what I intend to do with my children, is to make them proud of who they are, to teach them about their history, and just to instill in them every day that they are beautiful and that the people who look like them are beautiful and the people they come from are beautiful, and just literally just drill it in. That's what I intend to do.
One last question. Did you ever feel the need to, maybe not like, during reception, but like as an adult, you're in Manchester, you're hearing all these horrible things. Did you ever feel the need to change, to maybe make yourself smaller, straighten your hair, whatever the fuck? Like, did you ever feel that need to try and be less black, unfortunately? Like,
100%. More so in my time in Manchester than any other time in my life. And my uncle pointed it out to me, actually, my dad's brother. He was like, before you moved to Manchester, you were really Afrocentric. Like it was like braids, afros, just, yeah, or your style was so Afrocentric. And like, I'm not saying it's a criticism, but since you've gone, like, you've only wore your hair straight. And I was like, oh my God, I have. Like, I'm trying to fit in. I worked in a luxury retail store, Harvey Nichols. I was selling fine jewelry to white people all day, surrounded by white people. There was no other black person in the 4 floors of this, massive store. I think there's one other black girl actually. And so I just wanted to blend. I didn't want to stand out for being black. I didn't want that to be the topic of discussion around me. And so my I guess most black features, and definitely my hair, I was trying to tone down to just be acceptable, just be, just take the heat off a little bit. And then it was like, whoa. And so I remember like making a conscious decision to be completely apologetic. And so the way that I am now, like when I moved to London,
apologetic.
unapologetic, sorry, to be completely, sorry, well, hang on, to be completely unapologetic. And now it's like I go into work with like butt length, faux locks, and I will switch it
Period.
up. Like next week, I will have like blonde braids. The next week, I will have shiny bumps. Like I am as black as they come, especially at work. And I even like things like oh, like let me take my headscarf off to do this meeting. No, I'm gonna wear the headscarf. I'm wearing whatever is on. It's a reflection of my blackness, and I'm doing it, and I'm wearing it, and I'm gonna be out and proud and bad with it. So 100%, I felt the pressure to change, and I just had to just collect myself and correct myself.
Oh my god, I'm so glad you corrected yourself. I'm so glad you didn't. I didn't know this story, so like I didn't know these experiences. Oh my gosh, thank you for like sharing. Um yeah, that's wild. That's absolutely wild, Kalifa.
Well, no, thank you for giving me the platform to share. And check on your black female friends. Like, check on them. They are doing the most, probably, to have to conform into the society that tells them that they're the least desirable, the least wanted, the least beautiful, whatever. It's a complete and utter lie. So check yourself as
Absolutely.
well. Like, are you throwing microaggressions their way? Are you saying things that are like, you know, bringing them down instead of lifting them up? Um, yeah, check yourself and check on your black girls because we're going through a lot.
And that's the Insta teaser. Period. Oh my gosh, Kalifa. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you shared this story with us today. Thank you so much, and I love you.
Thank you. I love you so much as well. It's so good to be on the yellow sofa.
Oh my gosh, guys, you can check us out on our own podcast, our baby, Tuned In with Kal and Lak,
Yeah.
unapologetic black views, just being black and free and happy and loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you again, Khalifa, and I'll catch you on our next podcast on fucking Tuned In.
Period. Love you. Mwah.
Bye!